Welcome to Boomer Bongo Boulevard, number 34 on this podcast. I'm Mike, just Mike, and along with me is waving to you is Ron, just Ron. And I think they can see both of us. This is our first visual, Ron, and
Our
thanks for setting
visual
this up.
extravaganza, number one.
Yeah, I guess we're going to. Will you be able to see this no matter where we pick up? Will people be able to see this?
I'm not sure. I know I want to go to YouTube with it. With Spotify, I may just go audio only because that's all I ever see on there. But I'll just kind of let whatever takes it take it.
So the YouTube will
Yeah,
pick up the video.
yeah.
So anyway, it's episode number 34. For those of you maybe seeing us on YouTube for the first time, you can go over to Spotify and pick up our first 33 episodes. They run what, 30, at least 30 minutes. And
Yeah,
the
30 a
longest
little over.
40. Yeah, maybe 40 on one or two of them. But we're boomers, and Ron's a near boomer, and I'm a full-fledged boomer.
Just
And
kind
we
of
just
towing
talk about
out
what?
there. Just kind of towing out on the line there for me.
We just talk about boomer stuff, things that relate to boomers, and we've had a little trouble here. We've missed a couple of episodes, or what would have been episodes, Ron, just because we've been switching formats and things have been forced on us by these providers. Although we certainly appreciate them and our ability to do what we need to do. So we're a little out of step right now. We really apologize to our three listeners, Steve, Don, and Hubert, but hopefully they'll adjust as well. We're talking this week about, we talk about TV a lot, not all the time certainly, but television is a big part of boomer culture, mainly because I guess we were the first generation to grow up with TV in our lives for our whole lives. I can't remember
Pretty much.
not watching TV. I do remember doing a parlor trick, a baby parlor trick when I was little. I had memorized, and I think I was maybe 4, and I had memorized the entire television schedule for all 3 networks. I knew when everything came on, what time it came on, and my mom used to like to show off by our mom used to show off by. She thought I was the smartest child ever because I was the first one, and she just everybody thinks her kids. I thought I had the smartest child ever, and it turned out the second one was even smarter than the first one, and it just went on and on. They just kept getting smarter. But anyway, once again, I'm Mike, just Mike. I'm sitting on my porch, and Ron's got a studio. I'm jealous.
Well, that's my grandson's bedroom for when he comes over, but it's kind of a studio.
Well, I saw behind you got Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and maybe a small tour would be in order. I don't know. Maybe both of
Okay,
you.
yeah, I can do that. Yeah, let's see. Behind me here, I've got let's see his shelf of action figures. You can see them probably up pretty close there. Spider-Man, most of the Marvel guys, and there's some stuff up top, some autographs and things he's gotten over the years and put on display. And down here in my hands is my trusty old guitar. Hey. And I'm
I
wearing
brought
my
my
underdog
bongos.
shirt.
Yeah, I brought my bongos. So we've got, I've got a Napoleon Dynamite action figure, Ron, and so I guess maybe I'll bring that along next time and just hold him up next to. He's in the box and everything.
Yeah.
That'll be
Cool.
great. Oh, and for our regular listeners, we're not going to have a break this time because we can't figure out how to work a break in. They've changed some of the editing capabilities, and there's probably a way, Ron. Right? We'll probably.
Oh
You'll
yeah,
probably
if,
figure it
if
out.
I had a brand new laptop, I could edit, but I don't. So, and I'm not going to go out and buy one anytime soon. So, hey, we're just going to go live, all the way live. That's what we're going to do.
Hey, a lot of people do it. And I've done it plenty. Hey, I do 3 hours on Friday night football, so 3+ hours. So I know it's possible to do, particularly when there's just no way out. When you just jump off that cliff, there's no way back. You can't go back to the edge of the cliff anymore. You're just free falling. But anyway, we were talking this our 34th episode, or we were planning to talk about television shows, detective series that we've enjoyed, and in police, cops
Right.
shows, mainly
Detective
mystery
series.
solvers. And I
I'd wear
grouped
my
them. I
hat
know.
for this one.
Yeah, you were saying, yeah, there you go, your private eye hat.
Right.
Your private dick hat. But the I just made myself laugh. We were talking about the way these things break out. What's your favorite detective of all time television?
Favorite
Do you have?
detective show? The one I probably enjoyed the most and gone back and enjoyed the most over the years is I always loved Moonlighting.
Yeah, Bruce Willis,
It was very funny. It was off the wall, and I always liked that. And
Sybil
I had
Shepherd.
lots of good memories of watching that show.
What's funny? Broke the what do they call it, the third wall,
The fourth wall. Yeah,
fourth wall, and they
yeah,
broke one of the walls, and
yeah.
and,
That one in
and
the front. That one.
the my favorite episode of that was, and I think it might have been the second season, could have been the first, but the Sybil Shepherd character, her father was going. Her father on the show, not her real
Yeah,
father, was coming to visit or going to come drop by and see her, something like that,
yeah,
and she had found out, or she thought she found out, that he was having an affair, and she was
yeah.
telling the Bruce Willis character, and about that time they broke away from the conversation that was going on in the detective agency, and they show the limo that her father's in, and they start playing in the background music. Papa was a Rolling Stone. I never really saw the rest of the episode. I was laughing so hard from that. I just kept thinking, and what's that? Four Tops, I think. Papa was a Rolling Stone. I think it might have been four.
Papa was a real. I think that was. I think that was the
Temptations.
Temptations. Yeah,
Temptations. Yeah,
yeah,
you're probably right.
yeah.
But I laughed and laughed, and that's the scene from Moonlighting for me. And they were a typical detective series too. They had a mystery and they solved it. And
Oh,
usually that was secondary, though it was definitely the well, on the best detective series. It's the journey, not the find, like Columbo. They tell you who did it
yeah. Well, that's the
in
only show I
Columbo.
ever
At the
really
beginning.
remember where they had like an actual office and had employees and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Except for Charlie's Angels had an office, but they were the only ones there. There wasn't like a secretary and somebody that was doing the accounting or anything like that. And that's what they had on the Moonlighting. It was like an actual
Charlie
office.
Charlie's Angels was ahead of their time, though, Ron. They were. It was mostly by phone. It'd be
Yeah,
like so many businesses now just run out of the guy's pocket. If you call the plumber,
yeah.
you can tell he just grabbed his phone out of his pocket. Yeah, hello, yeah, Johnson's Plumbing, yeah, and they're talking to you about. And when they hang up, then that's why they forget about you. They don't have a secretary
The
anymore.
plumbers, aren't as debonair as Charlie.
No,
Usually,
there should be a detective who's a plumber, right?
yeah. Why
They've
not?
had detectives who are all kinds of things,
I mean,
and
you gotta have to be a detective, to be a plumber anyway.
right, right. Well, or a mechanic who's a plumber. No, I'm sorry, a mechanic who's a
Hey, I do some
detective or a
plumb.
plumber.
I do plumbing and stuff at my job, and I have to be a detective all the time.
Yeah,
Always
you
having
got.
to find where a leak is coming from, or where an obstruction is, or something.
And
You
who
know.
broke it? Who done it?
Yeah, exactly.
Who broke it? You
I
broke
turn into
it.
Philip Marlowe every day.
Well, I think we're on to
Bullet
something here.
Marlowe.
Well, I cannot think of the name of it, but there's an Australian detective show that my wife and I watch sometimes, and it's current. You can find it on
Yeah,
BritBox and some of these other things, I believe. And Friendly, I think, is how we see it or how we access it. And there's only 10 episodes, and we've seen 9 of them. We're kind of spacing them out because it's so funny. But the detectives, it's a husband and wife team, and they're cleansers. They come in when a murder's been done, and they clean up all the blood and
oh,
clean
okay.
up all the mess. And they really is, and they wear the hazmat suits,
Yeah, yeah. I
and
was
they
going to
come
ask
in.
you if they did the whole 9 yards like that.
Well, and because they clean up, they see all the evidence that the police see, and they figure out things that the police don't figure out. And one police captain has begun to access their knowledge, and he calls them in. And that brings me, Ron, to my favorite character, the quirky non-police officer detective who nonetheless solves crimes like Jessica. What was Jessica's last name on Murder She Wrote? Fletcher.
Fletcher. Yeah.
Jessica Fletcher.
Hmm.
She's famous for solving crimes, and you've got Monk,
Yeah.
who the same thing. He had been a police officer, but he isn't any longer. And recently on CBS this past season, Elsbeth, same thing. She follows the Columbo guide, by the way.
Yeah.
The murderer, you see who the murderer is, and then Elsbeth comes in. Um, Murder She Wrote. Father Dowling, a priest who loans his expertise to the police and helps solve crimes. And here's the weird thing: there's not a single person, as far as we know, in the entire world who's actually ever done that.
I
Right?
can think of one.
I don't think there is. There certainly isn't a famous one because
I mean, I sit up and try to solve crimes that I see on the news and stuff, but I don't. I'm not, calling in and giving my advice because they think I was a maniac, or I'd become a suspect. Well, that would be
yeah,
more
yeah,
likely.
that's what would happen. I think I can help you solve this. And they'd go, turn around, please, just for a moment. And
Yeah.
there's, we're not up to anything. Click, click, we're arresting you for the crime. I think I just had an idea for an April Fool's episode of one of the talk shows. If there's any talk shows still out there, there really isn't since David
Yeah,
Letterman
not a
retired.
lot. Yeah.
But I think they're, I don't know, idiot shows. I don't know what they do. They just act ridiculously.
Yeah.
But if one of them wants to do an interview, they could do an April Fool's interview and introduce somebody as a citizen who is famous for helping the police solve crimes, and just bring them out and do a fake interview with them, and or maybe bring Monk out and interview him like he's a real person. Just see how many people they fool. I think that would
Almost
work.
do a Spinal Tap thing,
Yeah. Do it, and then they announce there's going to be a documentary about this person that's going to be broadcast tomorrow, and just continue the April Fool's joke on over into April the 2nd, and just play it straight and see what
Maybe
happens.
that's what OJ was doing all along.
That's what it is.
It was an elaborate Andy Kaufman-esque joke. Really,
Well,
that's really what it was, people.
didn't OJ say he was going to find the real killer?
Yeah, on
Couldn't
the
couldn't
golf
you do a
course, apparently.
fictional OJ who is out looking for the real killer, and along the way he solves other crimes?
Yeah.
I think that would be that's brilliant.
I know he would like purposely knock it off into the rough, and kind of get away for a few minutes.
No, let's make it where he really didn't do it. He'd be like Richard Kimball on The Fugitive. And he's in search of the one-armed man, and
He's just searching the one gloved man.
well, he's handicapped by the fact that OJ is by the fact that people keep recognizing him. Hey, aren't you OJ? And he's trying to get in disguises. People, aren't you OJ?
Like really bad disguises, like
Yeah.
Groucho nose and glasses.
Well, I mean, come on, OJ. Hey,
It would kind of harken back to his Naked Gun character a little bit as well.
well, you know what I was thinking? You were thinking people keep recognizing OJ. What I was thinking was when he was on Roots. Do you remember OJ was on the original Roots?
Yep.
He had a small role, and he played somebody that was getting captured, escaped slave, something like that.
I think
I know
he was like, he was like another one that pretty freshly brought over African, I think, and him and Kunta
right,
Kinte bonded or something, I think, and
right. And
he
didn't it,
met
maybe
him
he
when he
got
was one of
killed or
his
got his
escape
foot
attempts or something.
cut off or something.
Well, that was Kunta Kinte when he was older as John Amos when they cut his
Okay,
foot off.
okay. Well, all I remember is reading a small blurb in an article about the making of Roots, and they were saying that in OJ's scene, there was one scene where he was supposed to be running away, and they were
Mhm.
supposed to catch him, and OJ couldn't run slow enough for the other actors to catch him because he was a world class sprinter.
Yeah.
And when he did slow up, it didn't look real. It looked like he was walking. And they just had to keep shooting it over and over again. They finally found an angle where OJ could run slow enough for them to catch him. People don't realize the difference between a world class sprinter
Oh
and
yeah,
an average person. There
exactly.
is no difference.
It's amazing.
But anyway, that could be the kind of the takeoff from OJ. Is he's people always recognize him. He can't disguise himself. He's always way quicker than he's doing okay with his disguise, and then somebody knocks a cup off a saucer off a table, and he grabs it real quick out of the air, and it doesn't hit the floor. And everybody looks like him like, hey,
Hey, it's
who are
okay.
you anyway? You look a little like O.J. Simpson.
I thought your head was kind of big.
Hey, you know what? You know what my favorite detective series, and I'm cheating here. It was the Sunday Mystery Movie with McCloud
Yeah.
and Columbo and
Yeah.
McMillan and wife.
Yep.
And
I
I love that.
remember you watching that, and I even watched it some too. I was younger,
It
but
was a little
I
before.
enjoyed a lot of it.
and they were all great. And Susan St. James was my favorite. And there weren't a lot of women detectives, and there never have been. There's a few here and there, but I remember Honey West, which you probably don't remember that show,
And
and
I'm familiar with it. I've never seen it, but
Policewoman,
yep,
Angie Dickinson.
yep,
Earl Holliman was her
yeah,
second banana, so she was like the lead person. And there were a few others, but Remington Steele with Stephanie
yep.
Zimbalist, Zimbalist Jr.'s daughter.
Yeah, she had to get. She put the Remington Steele name on there to like because she didn't think he'd go to an agency run by a woman or something.
Right, right,
The idea, and that was sort of the forerunner to moonlighting.
right. Yeah.
Because moonlighting was kind of a knockoff of that, but in a
What
more
was that? Pierce
wacky
Brosnan.
way,
Pierce
more
Brosnan showed
deep.
up, and he was kind of
Yeah,
a con man,
yeah,
as I recall, and he pretended to be Remington Steele, and who was a fictional person, and he undercut her, kind of like OJ in that under.
yeah.
Like, what if OJ had shown up? This is going to be our theme the rest of the night. Is what
That would
if
have been a short
OJ
series,
had been in
buddy.
Police Story? What would
That
that
would have
have?
been pilot
What if
episode and out.
OJ had been in Mannix? That's something you observed
Yes.
when we were talking off show before we went on the air. Is how great the theme songs were on so many of these detective shows.
Kind of like that.
What is that, Mannix?
Yeah.
Joe Mannix.
Yeah. I was waiting to play Old Mannix.
Just makes you want to go out and solve a crime, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You remember they had that one scene on the bridge where he's running car's trying to run him down,
Yeah.
like the car was, and the car apparently didn't catch him. That Mannix could run.
And Mannix got shot a lot too, man.
Who was in Mannix? Who's the actor?
It was oh gosh, dog. Hold on.
Look it up for me.
It is.
We'll figure it out.
What is his name? Mike.
Mike Connors.
Mike Connors. That's it.
Mike Connors.
Yeah.
Connors or Connor.
Yeah.
Mike
Connors. Yeah.
Connors. And
Yeah.
you know he was 6'5" and a college basketball player, a really good one.
Yeah.
And I found that out not too long ago. I caught part of an old episode on one of the many channels that stream into our homes now, and I was just really impressed. And I think his background was Armenian. He was very proud of that. And once you know that, it's worked into the show a lot.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Like he was always. It was usually when he was cooking or something.
Right.
He would talk about making some kind of Armenian meal or something. Yeah,
and
he did that a lot. And the one thing I remember is when he ran, his sports jacket always kind of flapped behind him like a cape.
Because he was fast.
And when I was a kid, if I was playing Mannix, I would get my whatever jacket I was wearing, and kind of stuff it under my arms, where it'd be kind of hanging back when I was running.
Yeah, because you couldn't run fast enough.
Your jacket was flying behind you.
I was looking at you talked about moonlighting, and those were PIs. You had the private investigators who were always cooler, like Tom Selleck was a private investigator and had that Ferrari, the red Ferrari that he drove around in, and then you just had regular cops. Did you ever see Burke's Law?
No, but I'm aware of it.
With Gene Barry, who was Bat Masterson back in the old Western days, and you had to have a gimmick. And his gimmick was he was a zillionaire, and he rode around in a limousine. But he was a cop. Yeah. He was an actual cop, but he was just rich. And instead of having an old beat up Ford Galaxy, he had a limo. And that's all I really remember, other than the fact that he kind of had this Blake's Law, this kind of New York kind of Blake's Law, and he had all these rules, and which is a forerunner of Gibbs. On NCIS, Gibbs had all these rules. Rule number 7, rule number 12. Blake's Law: never trust a woman. Something. I don't think that was one of his laws, but and he always had these babes riding around with him.
Yeah.
So I guess if you were the producer, you could offer somebody a role riding around with Blake and Blake's Law.
Blake's Law.
Oh,
Blake's Law.
Hey, Ron, Cagney and Lacey. Did you ever watch that?
No, I did not.
Me either. except just to know that there was Cagney and Lacey, and I would watch it occasionally, and the acting was pretty great, and the writing seemed to be really good, but I never really avidly watched it. Although I think it was one of the more award-winning shows that they had. What do you got on your list? I've got
One of the original people on there was Loretta Swit, and she did the pilot,
Pilot.
and they picked it up, and I think she tried to get out of her MASH contract, and they wouldn't let her out of it.
Oh,
Yeah, because she really wanted to do that show, and she didn't get to do it.
well, and
Uh, and I remember a parody on some comedy show. That's the only thing I ever watched about it because I never watched the show. And instead of Cagney and Lacey, they called the sketch "Ugly and Flat Chested."
well, the the thing I do remember about that show, and I would watch a little here and there from time to time, is they brought a lot of private live things, and they were one was married, one was single, and I think that there were boyfriends coming in and out of the picture for the single one,
Mhm.
and maybe for the married one too. I don't know, but the but I made myself laugh again, but they were what's the point if you can't make yourself laugh occasionally, right, Ryan?
Hey, as long as I'm laughing, I don't care really.
Yeah, me either.
And I can
But
make one other person laugh, and everybody else can be stone faced.
yeah,
Fine
it
with
doesn't
me.
really matter. Doesn't really matter. But they would do the home life, but they'd also have a big mystery to solve, and so you could play along with that. And I guess in a way these detective shows, I guess they're so popular, even though they're incredibly unrealistic.
No.
Is that they're kind of like the TV version, the drama version of game shows, right?
Yeah.
Because you
You know
play
what?
along, you keep up with the clues. Um, they're they have the lawyer detective too, Matlock, I guess, and Perry
Yeah.
Mason. Except, okay, did you ever watch Matlock?
Oh yeah. I watched a few. That when he had Don Knotts on there several episodes, I would always
Okay.
watch those because that was fun seeing them together.
Well, I guess they trusted Andy Griffith to carry the show because the Matlock plots were the worst written
Oh, flimsy.
plots ever. Because in Perry Mason, if some clue played a role, they had introduced the clue
Yeah.
in the first half of the show, or in any other detective program that I'd ever seen except for
Yeah.
Matlock. They would introduce clues. Not Matlock. He'd be in the courtroom at the end of the show, and he would say, "But what you didn't know is we've got this coffee cup." Now, you hadn't seen that coffee cup the whole show. We found it under the bed this morning, and it's got your fingerprint right on it. And then the
Yeah.
guy would break down and confess in the courtroom like they always did. But I would watch the end. If I knew Matlock was on, when I finally learned how it went, I would tune in for the last 10 minutes just to see what stupid clue they brought out of nowhere that solved the crime. Matlock just spent all this time going around bumming rides from
Now,
everybody and
this,
being Andy
Mr.
Griffith.
Literature, you probably know the answer to this one. Okay. Now, I've heard of this as a plot device. I don't know if I'm getting the author right. I know I'm pretty sure it's a Russian author, but it's something. Is it maybe Chekhov's pistol? They refer to that as like something that's introduced in the first act or something like basically if a character is introduced in the first act, that character is going to do something before it's not just a throw off character.
I have no idea what you're
It's
talking
something
about.
like that. Well, anyway, it's like
I know they have
if a
rules.
character walks in and
Right.
says like one line and you're watching a show and it's somebody that got introduced in the credits as a special guest star or it's somebody famous, you're going like, okay, we better pay attention to this because something's going to happen with this guy. That kind of a plot device. That's what they
Yeah,
usually
well,
do. Yeah.
I don't mind if they follow rules, and I don't mind if they give
Yeah.
the
Maybe that's not
clues
literature.
out.
Maybe
I mean,
that's
that's
just
what I
a
want to
play
do.
thing or something. I don't know. Maybe that's a theater reference. I don't know. I think it's a
Yeah,
theater
it
reference.
could be like "Stealing Your Thunder." That's a
Yeah.
theater reference. I know
Yeah.
that. That might be the only theater reference I really know, Ron. My daughter, who is into theater, probably could
Yeah,
give
she
us
would
chapter
probably
and
tell
verse.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring her in as a guest sometime.
There's
But
somebody I've listened to before in podcasts that brings that up occasionally, talking about how, if this happened, then this is going to happen because, we've seen
hey,
this for already.
Ron, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Quinn Martin.
Yes,
in these detective shows.
because he
Barnaby
was the
Jones,
master in the 70s. He had,
Cannon,
yeah, it
the
was yeah,
FBI.
Barnaby Jones.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and who else
Quentin
would have?
Lawton production. Quincy.
Hey, who else but Quinn Martin would see Jed Clampett and think he could make a detective?
Yeah. I'm a detective
Well,
old
doggies,
guy.
they could have so much more fun with
I mean,
TV.
a rickety old guy, and and then a really big fat guy.
Yeah, Cannon. Cannon's like, and Cannon. They were always making Cannon chase people.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were like,
it'd be
we're
kind of
making
like
you run.
making Joe Biden and William Howard Taft detectives.
That would be good. That would be a good one. Oh man. Hey, you know what?
I'm stuck
They
in the
should.
tub. Can you go chase them for me?
You know what? You know what flashed through my mind is they either could have had a lot of fun on Beverly Hillbillies by having a two-parter and the hillbillies have a mystery that they solve, catch a murderer, something like that,
It took a
or
serious
they
turn.
could have just had a random Barnaby Jones, like the 35th episode of the series,
Yeah.
without saying anything to anybody. Instead of Barnaby Jones coming in with his suit, Jed Clampett walks in. And Jed is referred to as Barnaby, but he plays it like Jed. And he's just, well, doggies, I think we got a clue here. Look at this.
Did
Bring
you
old
ever
Bullet
see the
in here.
bizarre crossover with on Two and a Half Men with CSI,
What, there was one?
where Robert Wagner, like they had to solve his murder or solve his
What?
death.
They really did that?
Yeah, they did a crossover with Two and a Half Men and CSI.
No.
Yes, and they had the CSI characters. They came over to like Charlie's house, and they did
Okay.
all the all the little stuff where they do the little animation things of. Except they did it comedically, like the inside
Wow.
of Jake's mouth eating like a
Was it
donut
on?
or
Was it
something.
on? Was it on NCIS or on Two and a
No,
Half
it
Men?
was on Two and a Half Men.
Okay, I'm gonna have
It
to
was
look
the
that up.
wedding of when their mother was going to marry Robert Wagner, and they found him dead upstairs.
Wow. Okay, I've
Of
got to
course,
watch
the
that.
scene I remember most
That's
is when
my
they
kind of
came in
show.
Charlie's bedroom where he died with a black light.
Oh
and,
no.
and the lady with the red hair, it was on at the time, and she was shining around. She goes, "My God, it looks like a Jackson Pollock painting."
Oh. Well,
Yeah,
good for
that was the
them.
weirdest crossover
They
ever.
should do. They should do more of that. The ratings should have been
It
through
was
the roof.
hilarious.
Well,
They had us out at the station interviewing all of them and everything. And it was really funny.
there was a movie of the week somewhere back there in the '80s,
Mm-hmm.
where they brought in like a dozen of those old detectives, Barnaby Jones
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Nancy, and put them
They did
all
the
in
same
one
thing with
show.
cowboy shows too. One time,
Yeah,
did one time.
yeah. So we're not as strange as we think we are. There
Well,
are other
no.
strange people like that. That's where we belong. It's Hollywood. Um, but McLeod was going back to the Sunday mystery
Yeah,
movie, McLeod and McMillan and wife, and I just wanted to be McLeod. And we've talked about when we were we've talked about him, I think, before. What
yeah,
a really underrated actor, Dennis Weaver
yeah,
is. I mean, he can play Chester in Gunsmoke, who was just this clown character, really,
yeah.
a comedy relief, and turn around and play had to be one of the coolest characters in the history of television. McLeod. He
Yeah.
walked around New York in a cowboy hat, saying "There you go," and wearing his boots and walking
He
the
used to go to the
sidewalk.
shops in Steven Spielberg's first movie,
Oh yeah, that's right.
Duel. Yeah,
What was the name of that?
Duel. I watched it not long ago.
Duel. Yeah. Oh,
I think
about
it's
the
on. Is
it
it
was
on
kind of
Tubi? I think it's on
well,
Tubi. I think.
what wasn't it? It was kind of supernatural, right?
Well, in a little bit, I guess, but because
The
they
Duel
used that
movie.
old beat up, dirty, muddy truck, just nastiest looking truck you ever saw, and they never showed the driver ever the whole movie.
Okay.
And the guy was
Okay.
like trying to kill him.
Okay.
And
There was a
he
driver.
thought he cut him off or something, and the truck just wouldn't leave him alone. That's all the movie was. It
See,
was just all
that's
that
the way
build tension.
I remembered it being just a truck, kind
Yeah.
of like Christine, the movie. The
Yeah.
truck had a
Now you
lot,
could see the
but
guy.
you're right. There was a driver.
Yeah, because there was a scene where he was probably in this restaurant, and they kept showing these different guys, and you knew it was one of them, but he didn't know which one. Because the truck was empty, and he was definitely in that restaurant. You know.
Going with rarer. Usually, the private detectives are the quirky characters,
Yeah.
but the rare thing to find is a quirky character who also plays a police detective, which brings us right to the foot and brings us back to music too, because we kind of jumped away from the music. Beretta
Yeah.
with Robert Blake, and has been on was an entertainer his entire life. He was with the Little Rascals when he was a kid, and boy played. I remember Beretta. He was one of those rough and tumble, more realistic. They played his character more realistically, played
Yeah.
outside the rules. And I remember he was trying to get information out of an informant, a bad guy, and he had it
Yeah.
pushed up against the wall, and he pulled his pistol out. Robert Blake did, the
Yeah.
Beretta character, and he just worked the barrel of the gun up into the bad guy's nose. And they said, "Now talking." The guy just started singing, which who wouldn't? And it was very impressive. But theme song on that one was
Oh,
great.
yeah. Amazing things on
Uh,
with Sammy Davis Jr.
yeah, keep your eye on the sparrow.
Yeah.
And was that ever released as a single? It
Yes, it
should
was.
have.
It was a hit too.
Yeah. Okay. Had to be.
Yeah. It
The
absolutely did.
We really didn't finish talking about some of the great theme songs. Peter Gunn, that
Yeah.
boom 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 boom. I don't even know. Do you have that handy or like
I
you
don't
did
have it
again?
handy. I have a couple things handy though. I did a little research. I have some visuals. And you were talking about this is kind of old. I don't know if you can read it, but there is a single to the Rockford Files
Oh yeah.
on the MGM label. And here's an old record of mine. I had to look and find it a while ago. The soundtrack to Miami Vice,
Ah, that was a great. You know what I thought you were going to do is pull up
which I
Hawaii
do
Five
have
O.
that queued up. Hey,
That
you
shift. Yeah, it was a great theme song. They had a lot of great music in that. That was what MTV Cops
yep,
was
exactly.
the pitch that they used to sell that series. The shorter the sentence, the better the pitch. MTV Cops is exactly what you got. But man,
Absolutely.
you know, actually, Miami Vice, one of the once again plots were real simple. You knew who the bad there was not much mystery solving in Miami Vice. You usually knew who the bad guy was. They just Tubbs and Crockett would go undercover and pull their guns out at the end and tell everybody to freeze, and then there'd be a big shootout and somebody'd be dead at the end. And
Absolutely.
you know what I liked about Magnum PI and some of the other shows, NCIS, not a lot of gunplay. Magnum PI almost
Yeah, a
never had
lot more
gunplay.
thinking.
Magnum occasionally would shove a gun down in his back pocket. And Rockford Files,
Yeah.
Jim Rockford, remember where he kept his gun?
I don't really know.
In a cookie jar in his
No.
trailer. And he would, when he'd get it out, which was only about twice a season, he'd fish it out of the cookie jar and look at it and just sigh like, I
I
can't
gotta
believe I'm going
shoot
to have to
somebody
carry a gun.
again. Dadgummit.
Yeah, I guess. Jim Rock. You know, I may reconsider. I think Rockford Files might be my favorite detective series.
I knew it would have to be either that or Magnum PI. That's the ones I remember you enjoying the most. And
Well,
well, one more. Hunter was one I
oh,
remember.
Hunter
Um,
was
yeah,
fun.
you enjoying a lot. Yeah, that's three. I really think about you when I see those on. I always think about you.
Hunter was pretty underrated.
Yeah,
Um, it
and of course McLeod. Yeah,
yeah. No, we're you got a song of the week?
I do, as a matter of fact.
What do you got?
And I even and it's a good theme for our theme this week. It's from the album Private Eyes by Daryl Hall and John Oates.
Man.
I just pulled up the video. I'm playing a little bit.
Bum, 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 bum. Hall and Oates. What year was that?
That was 81, I believe.
Man,
Let's
those guys
see.
had a streak.
Let's see. They
Have
had a
you
pretty good run in the 80s. Let's see what year is on the record here. I don't think it has it on here. Maybe it's on the inside. Who knows?
Have you
probably.
have you seen Daryl's House? Have you watched the
I
Daryl's
have
House?
never actually watched it. Yeah, 1981. I'm usually good with when albums come out. Yep, 81.
Yeah, yeah,
I want, believe it or not, I've won a lot of radio show prizes, knowing
yeah.
having a stupid ability to remember when records came out.
You've never seen Daryl's House on YouTube?
No, I'm very familiar. I've seen clips of it.
Right, right.
Yeah,
It's well, that's the way to do it. Is just look up the clips.
yeah,
I don't think a whole episode
yeah,
is you know. I mean, I'm just in short term entertainment mode when I'm on YouTube most of
yeah.
the
I
time.
am too, pretty much. Every once in a while, I'll watch kind of a show like
Right. But it's very good. It's more current. A lot of the
which
shows been
doesn't
done
bode
for about
well for us, does it?
well. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got one. My song. I don't have it recorded, but Lawyers, Guns, and Money. Warren Zevon, and you can
Yes.
tell the real Warren Zevon fans because they know how to pronounce his last name. It's not Warren Zevon, it's Warren Zevon, and just a great song. It was never a huge hit. It was from the Excitable Boy CD, 1978, and if you're going to be on a detective show sooner or later, you're going to need lawyers, guns, and money. So
Yeah.
that's what makes me think of it when I think about detectives. Any last words on detective programs, Ron? Because I think we're going to talk about cowboys next
Yeah.
time.
We got to do Cowboys.
Those cowboy series, very close.
Definitely.
A lot of the old cowboys were detectives.
Definitely got to do Cowboys.
Oh yeah, you got your rifleman gun there, huh?
Right.
Has he got the loopy handle?
Yeah.
Yeah, the big Lucas
Yeah, it does
McCain. Let me see
indeed.
it. Let me hold it up a little because I'm
Okay,
having
hold on.
trouble.
Yeah. Stay right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, good. And that's a real
Yeah.
gun. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It looks real enough to get you
Believe
shot
it or
if you
not, it's
pull
a
it out
cap
while the
gun.
cops are there. Yeah.
It's a cap gun, believe it or not.
Do you have any caps? Can you even
Uh,
buy caps anymore?
yeah, it shoots those. You remember those little plastic guns that came out? I think it was sometime around when you were in high school. It was almost like a starter pistol that had the little
Yeah.
red thing with the little gunpowder thing in them, and you put it in the little chambers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's got. It's got
That's what I'm
a
talking about.
yeah, it's got like one of those chambers in here. Let's see, I think there's a release on here somewhere. Um, can't remember. Maybe that no. Hold on. Well, oh, that's it. Yeah.
There you go.
See, there it is, right there. See, it's pretty cool. It's got a little button right there.
Yeah.
Let me find it.
Can you hear my bongo?
Yeah, I can.
You know
There we
what that
go.
means?
Bang, bang. There it is.
That means Boomer Bongo Boulevard, Ron. It's over.
That's it.
I'm
That's
Mike.
about
It's
it.
Mike. I'm here with Ron, just Ron, and we're pretty much out. Until next time.